So if you would agree, I would start by thanking you very much for your time. I'm sure you are pretty busy with all the situations, so thank you very much for these minutes. And I would propose to start with a brief introduction from yourself and from the cluster, and what is being the nowadays activity in these times of war.
So short introduction about myself. I have a 20 years experience in management consulting, in business training, in automotive industry, and exactly 20 years ago I had even a 2 months internship in Barcelona in Parc Technologic del Valles. So I could also say that I have experience on cluster management for 20 years somehow. And for last 15 years, I'm more engaged with automotive industry. And last 2 years, I'm a cluster manager for Ukrainian automotive and mobility cluster. And and when the war started, we, the whole movement, cluster movement in Ukraine, was more like an gathering together, not discipline and not running from each other, but vice versa. And exactly from this time, Ukrainian Cluster Alliance organized. Right now, we do have 37 clusters from from different industries, from different parts, and of course, our main mission is mostly to support. So of course, in the beginning, to support our businesses. We also a member already of European Cluster Alliance, and in a week, right? I will be a key speaker in European Cluster Conference in Prague. Moreover, from July, we also partner for EIT Manufacturing, European Institute of Innovation and Technologies. And again, we do have regular meetings, we do have different committees, and we support our companies to not only to survive, but also to develop. My part in Ukrainian Cluster Alliance, I'm responsible for internationalization and such a kind of activities. We had already some B2B meetings with other clusters, cluster members from Ukraine side and Polish side. It was with Polish clusters, and actually it was with automotive clusters, because we know that automotive industry, it's not only automotive OEM companies, it's also part producing companies, tier 1, tier 2, and of course there are possibilities for different companies to have a common business and business relations in it. So this is the part which we do right now, and really a lot of work. And moreover, in July, we were co-organizer of Global Economic Forum. And Ukrainian Cluster Alliance was co-organizing, and Ukrainian Automotive and Mobility Cluster was co-organizer, co-partner, and moreover, we held one panel discussion, and for our members, such as two of them international, worldwide known companies such as Leoni and Kromberg and Schubert, and two of them fully Ukrainian companies as Vedemais and Spetstechosnastka. They made a speech and they really gave their experience how they survived, and not only survived but also not stop producing and supplying to Volkswagen, to BMW, to Renault, and other companies, other OEMs. So the fact is that in the beginning of the war, most of companies stopped their production.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean where they were located, in eastern part of Ukraine or western part of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
They simply stopped. But many of them, they stopped no more for 5 days.
Okay.
And already in a week, they proceed their production. And even if there were, of course, a big migration of people, right? Internal migration and external migration. So this is our reality. And many companies which are located in the western part of Ukraine, they also had quite big migration of their employees. But again, they replace it somehow, right? They had new employees, and and they proceed their delivery. And right now, as I know, I mean, we're also in Ukrainian automotive and mobility cluster. We have meetings every week. And every week we have such a kind of not only just news, which we have a lot, but also status of their production. And I know that from May, not even from June, from May, most of companies have almost 100% of their capacities.
Okay, that's very good to hear. Very good. I was going to ask that because in the beginning, of course, these situations, some of the situations are spoken or there are news. I remember right in February, March, in the beginning, some news about and Ukraine being so strong in some of the components like the harnesses. Some news about VW stopping or with shortage of components. So as you said, that was a first initial situation and a transition situation. Now, and with all the situations, can we say that it's coming to a normal situation in terms of production?
So it's a nice question. I think there is no term normal anymore.
Yeah,
Not in Ukraine and not in Portugal. I'm afraid that normal.
No place. Yeah.
Yes, we do not have normal anymore. Unfortunately, maybe, yeah. I mean, we didn't have normal in Ukraine at all for last 30 years. But right now, we do not have normal situation at all, and in many countries, as far as I know. But again, well, as for Volkswagen, already in April, if I'm not mistaken, they had already a meeting with all their suppliers from Ukraine. Not only Ukraine, but it was the meeting specially for suppliers for Ukraine. First thing that they did, and actually it was a speech from the top management, that they will not stop any contract.
Okay. Good.
So they will not reduce any contract. And it means that our companies and our people, which we have not a lot, but still 60,000 in automotive industry, they will have work. This is important, of course. This is important. Unfortunately, not all OEMs did the same. Some of them cut the contracts. It's true. But Volkswagen, actually, they were really affected the most at the beginning because they really should stop their conveyors in some plants in Volkswagen, in MAN. But again, right now, all our companies supply, deliver their products. Yes, we have a lot of problems, but still, they work right now, and it's good. And again, right now, we are as a part, Ukrainian Automotive and Mobility Cluster, as a part and actually co-establisher of European Automotive Cluster Network. We also would like to not just support our companies, but to promote them in Europe and to help them to find further possibilities of collaboration and internationalization with other companies. So this is actually what we do, and yeah, it's a lot of work.
Okay, so I think we had here a very short breakdown of the internet, but I think it was fast. Yeah, that's very good to hear that, and to hear also the support from the OEMs. And well, we know how OEMs and tier one relations can be tense in some situations, but that's good to hear that in this humanitarian situation, most of the situations were kept. I believe also with people with people from Ukraine. I had the opportunity to be in Poland around June, let's say, and some of the comments were that in the beginning there was a big migration of people running away from the war to Poland and Romania and other countries. But by June, most of those people were already back to Ukraine. So the workforce, the country was also able to keep the workforce.
Yes, it's true. Also another interesting fact: in the beginning of March, European Automotive Cluster Network initiated kind of internal event for automotive industry. Actually, it was based in Spain, if I'm not mistaken, and it's exactly was about the war in Ukraine. And many clusters and automotive clusters and cluster managers, they told us that a lot of Spanish and Portuguese automotive companies has a lot of employees from Ukraine.
Yes.
And when the war started, a lot of men came back to Ukraine to defend our land.
Yes.
This is the reality. As for migration of people, you should understand that most of people who migrated was women and kids. Yeah, and yes, by June, many of them come back. Not all of them, but many of them. It's true.
Yes, that's true. That topic that you mentioned. Yes, here in Portugal, we have a very big community of Ukrainian people. And in fact, nowadays I'm working as auditor consultant. But when I was back in the industry, yes, we had a few Ukrainian people, very highly qualified and dedicated. And yes, nowadays we can still see that. And in fact, that there was that worry, let's say, if some Ukrainian people would go back to fight or to support their families. But I believe that was more of a fear than a real situation. But in terms of humanitarian actions, and other nationalities, there was a lot of activities sending support, like medicines, like food, like clothes for the babies and things like that. People organizing themselves to send to Ukraine. Yeah, well, a terrible situation, but it also brings the best out of people in these situations.
Yeah, I think from this period, people also understand that humanity is should be number one, and then all other issues such as gas, money, and other stuff. I also would like to give you another example and interesting story about Ukrainian OEM. This is the company 100% belong to Ukrainian people, but they produce it's licensed producing of Skoda and former times all models of Volkswagen. And in the beginning of the war, they stopped production and opened humanitarian and logistic hub. And all people, they work with support of humanitarian humanitarian, and also they opened that time a camp for refugees. So it was a big refugees camp just in a plant. They were prepared. Actually, it was really, and in the beginning of the war, they were ready to have people, to have refugees in their plant. They are located in the western part of Ukraine, which is actually not attacked at all. But from June, they proceed their production, and they still support this logistic humanitarian. But they proceed production, which is very good. And right now, actually open for collaboration because they have a big industrial park, and really looking forward for further possibilities, because right now Ukraine is really open for collaboration and for investments, and you're welcome.
Very good. And that's also related with, let's say, the last question. And as you said a while ago, there is no more any normal situations. With the war, with the pandemics, with the shortage of material and so on, everything changed. What is your vision of the future? What will be the new normal in these situations? Can you share some highlights?
Well, yeah, it's interesting question because it's difficult to see the future right now. Right now, I'm also in Ukraine, but I would say, which I said already, human values will definitely lead the world. And yeah, this is a very high price for understanding it, for realizing it. But human values, even in business, definitely will lead us for the future. Without it, I'm afraid it wouldn't be a future.
Yeah. I fully agree with you, and I hope that will be the next normal, and to what is the most important to really comes up and really to lead, and not only the profit or the gains and material gains. Yeah, hopefully.
And I'm also sure that companies who still have business with Russia and Belarus and still pay taxes for which, and this money is going to the war. I'm not sure that many companies would like to be as suppliers for such a companies and to work for such a companies. And again, it would not be already a question of money, and it would not be already a question of human resource utilization. It will be already a question of humanity of the world. So, and again, it's a quite high price from our side, but from another side, it's a big achievement of the whole world and human I don't know, Homo sapiens. So I hope it will be humanic sapiens.
Yeah. Okay, Olga. I think that's a very nice way to finish our conversation, and I really subscribe to your point of view, and hopefully we will come out of this whole situation at least with some improvement as human beings. Well, Olga, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you very much for your time and for your comments. I wish all the best to you, to the cluster, and to Ukraine as a country, as a nation, and that hopefully this awful situation come to an end very soon. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and we will keep in contact for sure.
Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini.